The story begins as Liam wakes up in the ER, dazed and in pain. The first thing he notices isn't the beeping machines or the fluorescent lights, it's Dr. Andrew Collins leaning over him, his voice calm, his face impossibly composed. Andrew's dark eyes meet Liam's, and for a moment, the world quiets. "You're lucky," Andrew says, his voice smooth and low, a grounding force amidst the chaos. "This could have been worse." Even through the fog of painkillers, Liam can't help noticing the way Andrew's hand lingers briefly on his shoulder, steadying him as a nurse adjusts the four. It's nothing, just a professional gesture, but it sends a shiver through Liam, something he feels embarrassed about later when the pain subsides. Liam's first follow-up appointment is uneventful, at least on the surface. Andrew is efficient, asking him about his pain, his mobility, his recovery. But then comes the moment when Andrew leans in close to check the surgical site on Liam's arm. "Tell me if this hurts," Andrew murmurs, his breath warm as he gently presses along the edge of the bandage. Liam's heart skips a beat. He can smell the faint scent of Andrew's cologne, something clean and subtle, and he catches himself staring at the curve of Andrew's jaw. He swears Andrew's fingers linger just a second too long, brushing against his skin as he adjusts the bandage. "Everything looks good," Andrew says, stepping back abruptly, as if he felt the same charge and needed to break it. Liam swallows hard, suddenly too warm. At Liam's third appointment, things take a more unexpected turn. Andrew is writing notes in Liam's chart when Liam, out of nervous habit, adjusts his position on the exam table, knocking his crutch off the edge. "Sorry," Liam mutters, trying to reach for it. But Andrew beats him to it, crouching down to grab the crutch and, in the process, brushing his hand against Liam's leg. The contact is brief, but it sends a jolt through Liam. He freezes, watching as Andrew straightens, his expression unreadable. "Careful," Andrew says, his voice quieter than usual. His eyes meet Liam's for just a moment too long, and something unspoken passes between them. Liam's throat goes dry. A late appointment leads to an unexpectedly intimate moment. Liam arrives at the clinic after hours, the waiting room quiet and dimly lit. Andrew is the only one left, dressed casually in a button-down shirt with his sleeves rolled up. "You're my last patient," Andrew says, offering a small, tired smile. The usual sterile atmosphere of the clinic feels different in the quiet. As Andrew examines Liam's arm, their conversation turns personal. Liam asks about Andrew's long shifts, joking about how he seems like the type to live at the hospital. Andrew chuckles, and for the first time, Liam sees a softer side of him. "Sometimes it feels that way," he admits. "But it's part of the job." Liam leans into the moment, letting his guard down. "You should let someone take care of you for once," he says, his tone light but layered with meaning. Andrew pauses, his hand stilling on Liam's arm. Their eyes lock, and for a moment, it feels like Andrew might say something, might do something, but then he pulls back, clearing his throat. "I'll be fine," he says, his voice clipped. A chance encounter outside the clinic deepens the tension. Liam takes the elevator to Andrew's floor for an unscheduled checkup, only for the power to briefly cut out, trapping them inside together. The dim emergency lights cast an intimate glow, and the confined space only amplifies Liam's awareness of Andrew. He leans against the wall, his fingers gripping the railing, trying to make small talk to break the tension. "Guess we're stuck," Liam says, his voice shaky. Andrew exhales, running a hand through his hair. "It's just a few minutes. Stay calm." But calm is the last thing Liam feels. The air between them feels charged, and when Andrew steps closer to reassure him, their hands accidentally touch on the railing. "Sorry," Andrew says, pulling away, but Liam doesn't miss the way Andrew's jaw tightens, the flicker of something in his eyes. That night, Liam dreams about Andrew for the first time, dreams of what it might feel like to kiss him, to see that calm, professional exterior finally crack. He wakes up breathless, his heart pounding, unable to shake the memory of how real it felt. The next time he sees Andrew, he struggles to meet his eyes, afraid that his thoughts are written all over his face. During another appointment, the tension finally boils over. Andrew is explaining Liam's progress, his tone measured and clinical, but Liam can't focus. He's too busy watching the way Andrew's lips move, the way his hands gesture as he talks. "Liam, are you even listening?" Andrew asks, raising an eyebrow. Liam smirks, leaning back against the table. "You're kind of distracting, you know that." Andrew freezes, his expression unreadable. "Liam. I mean it," Liam says, his voice softer now. "You don't have to act like you don't feel this too." For a moment, Andrew doesn't move. Then he steps closer, so close that Liam can feel the heat radiating from him. Their faces are inches apart, their breaths mingling, and for a heartbeat, it feels like Andrew might kiss him. But then Andrew pulls back sharply, his expression hard. "This isn't appropriate," he says, his voice low and tight. "You're my patient." The moment in the exam room finally happens after weeks of stolen glances, accidental touches, and unresolved tension. Liam, tired of waiting, pushes Andrew to admit the truth, and when he does, the floodgates open. Andrew's lips are firm and demanding against Liam's, his usual restraint gone as his hands grip Liam's waist. It's a kiss that feels like every moment of longing compressed into one explosive release, and for Liam, it's everything he's wanted since the day they met. After the heated kiss in the exam room, things between Liam and Andrew change irrevocably. Andrew tries to avoid acknowledging what happened, insisting they keep their distance, but Liam refuses to let things go back to how they were. The next day, Liam shows up at the hospital unannounced. He doesn't have an appointment, he just wants to see Andrew. When Andrew spots him in the waiting room, his jaw tightens. "Liam," Andrew says, pulling him aside into a quiet corner. "What are you doing here? You don't have an appointment." Liam leans casually against the wall, his smirk both infuriating and charming. "I just wanted to see you." "Is that so bad?" Andrew glances around nervously, his professionalism clashing with the heat that rises every time Liam is near. "You can't just show up here like this," he mutters, but his voice lacks conviction. "Why not?" Liam steps closer, his tone dropping. "You kissed me. Don't act like you don't want me here." Andrew's breath hitches as Liam's hand brushes against his, their fingers briefly intertwining before Andrew pulls away. "Liam, this isn't appropriate." But Liam cuts him off, his voice low and firm. "Stop saying that. You don't have to hide how you feel anymore, Andrew." Later that week, Liam finds an excuse to visit the hospital again, this time waiting until Andrew's shift is almost over. He catches Andrew as he's leaving, cornering him in the parking lot. "You've been avoiding me," Liam accuses, his eyes locking onto Andrew's. Andrew sighs, rubbing the back of his neck. "Liam, we can't keep doing this." "It's not." "Don't finish that sentence," Liam says, stepping closer. There's an intensity in his eyes that makes Andrew's stomach twist in both fear and desire. Liam grabs Andrew's wrist, pulling him toward the shadowed side of the lot. Andrew doesn't resist. The moment they're out of sight, Liam presses Andrew against the wall, his hands firm on Andrew's hips. "You're mine," Liam whispers, his voice both commanding and tender. "Stop pretending you don't want this." Andrew's resolve crumbles as Liam's lips crash against his, their kiss deep and consuming. For the first time, Andrew lets himself give in completely, his hands clutching at Liam's shirt as their bodies pressed together in the dim light. As their relationship progresses, Liam becomes bolder, showing up at Andrew's office when he's least expecting it. One evening, after a particularly long shift, Andrew returns to his office to find Liam sitting on his desk, arms crossed, a playful smirk on his face. "What are you doing here?" Andrew asks, though his voice lacks the sternness he intends. Liam shrugs. "I missed you." Andrew sighs, closing the door behind him. "You can't keep doing this, Liam. Someone's going to notice." "Let them," Liam replies, standing up and walking toward Andrew. "You're mine, remember. You don't get to hide from me." Before Andrew can respond, Liam pushes him against the door, his hands sliding up Andrew's chest. Andrew's breath catches as Liam's lips trail along his neck, leaving a heated path that makes him shiver. "You like it when I take control," Liam murmurs, his voice thick with confidence. "Don't you?" Andrew's only response is a low, shuddering exhale as he tilts his head back, giving Liam more access. Their dynamic begins to shift. Liam's confidence grows, and Andrew, despite his initial resistance, finds himself drawn to Liam's dominance. Outside the hospital, they begin spending more time together, sharing quiet dinners and stolen moments in Liam's apartment. One evening, after dinner, Liam takes Andrew's hand and leads him to the couch. They sit close, their knees touching, and Liam looks at Andrew with an intensity that makes his heart race. "Why do you always hold back?" Liam asks softly, his thumb brushing over Andrew's knuckles. Andrew hesitates, his eyes darting away. "I've always been the one in control," he admits. "It's hard to let go." Liam leans in, his voice gentle but firm. "You don't have to be in control with me. Let me take care of you." The words hang in the air, heavy with meaning. Slowly, Andrew nods, his walls beginning to crumble. One night, Liam surprises Andrew by inviting him over after his shift. The apartment is warm and inviting, candles flickering softly on the table. "Relax," Liam says, guiding Andrew to the couch. "You've had a long day." Andrew tries to protest, but Liam silences him with a kiss, deep and slow. He pushes Andrew back against the cushions, his hands exploring with a confidence that leaves Andrew breathless. "You're so used to taking care of everyone else," Liam whispers against Andrew's lips. "Let me take care of you tonight." Andrew hesitates for only a moment before nodding, his trust in Liam complete. What follows is a night of passion and intimacy unlike anything Andrew has ever experienced, Liam's dominance tempered with tenderness as he shows Andrew what it means to let go. As the weeks go on, their relationship becomes something neither of them expected. Liam's dominance in the relationship doesn't just manifest physically, it's in the way he encourages Andrew to open up, to share his fears and insecurities. Andrew, in turn, finds himself drawn to Liam's strength and unwavering confidence. One evening, as they lie tangled together in bed, Andrew looks at Liam with a softness he's never shown anyone before. "I don't know how you do it," Andrew admits quietly. "You make me feel safe, even when I'm completely out of control." Liam smiles, brushing a strand of hair from Andrew's face. "That's because you are safe with me. Always." Andrew couldn't deny it anymore, he loved the way Liam took control, the way he looked at him with unflinching desire and confidence. Liam was handsome in a way that made it impossible to focus, piercing eyes, a chiseled jawline, and a devil-may-care attitude that left Andrew utterly undone. But every time Liam made a bold move, Andrew's anxiety crept in. He wasn't used to living on the edge, and the idea of anyone at the hospital catching them together made his heart race with fear. One evening, Liam came to the hospital after hours, casually leaning against the wall of Andrew's office as if he owned the place. "You really need to stop showing up here," Andrew whispered, his voice sharp but low to avoid drawing attention. Liam smirked, stepping into Andrew's personal space. "Why? Afraid someone will see how much you want me?" Andrew flushed, his professional mask slipping for just a moment. "This isn't funny, Liam. If anyone—" "Relax," Liam interrupted, his voice dropping to a husky whisper. "No one's around." Before Andrew could respond, Liam grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the stairwell. Andrew protested weakly, but Liam's grip was firm, his confidence unwavering. They ended up on the hospital rooftop, the city lights stretching out before them. The cool night air made Andrew shiver, but it wasn't the cold that had his heart racing, it was the way Liam was looking at him. "No one's watching," Liam said, stepping closer. "It's just you and me." Andrew's breath hitched as Liam's hands slid around his waist, pulling him flush against his chest. Andrew should have pushed him away, he knew how risky this was, but instead, he leaned in, letting Liam capture his lips in a deep, possessive kiss. Liam's hands roamed over him, firm but gentle, and Andrew melted under his touch, his usual restraint crumbling. He clutched at Liam's shoulders, completely lost in the moment. When they finally broke apart, Andrew's cheeks were flushed, his lips slightly swollen. "We can't keep doing this in public," he murmured, though his tone lacked conviction. "Then stop me," Liam challenged, his voice soft but commanding. Andrew couldn't. Liam's boldness only grew after that night. One afternoon, while Andrew was in the middle of his rounds, he found himself cornered by Liam in a quiet storage room. "Liam, what are you doing here?" Andrew hissed, glancing nervously toward the door. "Checking on you," Liam replied casually, his eyes raking over Andrew's lab coat. "You look stressed. Thought I'd help you relax." "Liam, this isn't." But before Andrew could finish, Liam cupped his face, tilting his head up for a kiss. It was slow and deliberate, designed to make Andrew forget everything else, and it worked. Andrew groaned softly, his hands fisting in Liam's shirt as he surrendered to the kiss. "You shouldn't be here," Andrew whispered when they broke apart, his voice trembling with both fear and desire. "Then tell me to leave," Liam murmured, his lips brushing against Andrew's jaw. Andrew couldn't bring himself to say the words. Instead, he let Liam press him against the shelves, his body responding instinctively even as his mind screamed at him to stop. Andrew's fear of being discovered only heightened his feelings for Liam. Every stolen moment felt more exhilarating, every touch more intense. He hated how much he wanted Liam, how easily he let himself be swept away by his dominance. One evening, they found themselves alone in Andrew's office after hours. Liam sat on the edge of Andrew's desk, watching him with that infuriatingly confident smirk. "You're driving me crazy," Andrew muttered, pacing the room. "That's the idea," Liam replied, grabbing Andrew's wrist and pulling him closer. Andrew let out a shaky breath as Liam's hands slid up his chest, undoing the buttons of his shirt with maddening slowness. "Someone could walk in," Andrew whispered, though he made no move to stop him. "Then lock the door," Liam murmured, leaning in to kiss the corner of Andrew's mouth. Despite their deepening connection, Andrew's fear of being discovered never goes away. He starts noticing the way his colleagues look at him, wondering if they've picked up on the subtle changes in his behavior. One afternoon, as he's finishing his rounds, a nurse makes a passing comment about how close he seems with Liam. Andrew's heart skips a beat, but he forces a calm smile, brushing it off as nothing. Later that night, he confesses his fears to Liam. "People are starting to notice," Andrew says, pacing the room. "What if someone finds out?" "Let them," Liam says simply, pulling Andrew into his arms. "You don't understand," Andrew whispers, his voice trembling. "My career means nothing if you're miserable," Liam interrupts, his tone firm. "You deserve to be happy, Andrew. Stop worrying about what everyone else thinks." Andrew wants to argue, but the way Liam looks at him, the unwavering confidence in his eyes, makes him believe, if only for a moment, that maybe Liam is right. For days, Andrew notices a shift in Liam's behavior. The texts become fewer, the spontaneous visits to the hospital stop, and Liam starts pulling away. Andrew tells himself this is what he wanted, that this distance is safer, but instead of relief, all he feels is an unbearable emptiness. One evening, as Andrew sits in his quiet apartment, staring at his untouched dinner, his phone lights up with a text. His heart leaps, but it sinks just as quickly when he sees it's from Liam. "Hey. I think we should cool things for a while. I don't want to make things harder for you. Take care of yourself." Andrew stares at the screen, his chest tightening. He types and deletes a dozen replies before finally throwing his phone onto the couch. Liam's words are gentle, but Andrew can feel the finality behind them. The next few days are agonizing. Andrew throws himself into his work, but nothing can distract him from the gnawing ache in his chest. Every time he walks past the exam room where they shared their first kiss, he's reminded of Liam. Every quiet moment is filled with the echo of Liam's laughter, the feel of his hands, the intensity of his gaze. One evening, Andrew finally breaks. After another long, empty day, he grabs his keys and drives to Liam's apartment. He doesn't think, he just knows he needs to see him, to fix this. When he arrives, he knocks on the door, his heart pounding in his chest. But there's no answer. He knocks again, louder this time, but the silence is deafening. Liam. Andrew calls out, pressing his forehead against the door. A neighbor steps out of the adjacent apartment, glancing at Andrew curiously. "Are you looking for Liam?" the woman asks. "Yes," Andrew replies, his voice tense. "Is he here?" The woman shakes her head. "He left a few days ago. Said he'd be out of town for about a week." Andrew's stomach drops. He mumbles a thank you before retreating to his car, his mind racing. Liam didn't tell him he was leaving. The thought stings more than it should. The days that follow are torturous. Andrew feels like he's suffocating, the weight of Liam's absence pressing down on him. He can't focus at work, can't sleep, can't eat. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees Liam, his smile, his touch, the way he made Andrew feel alive in a way no one else ever had. Finally, Andrew realizes he can't do this anymore. He's spent his whole life running from his feelings, hiding behind walls of professionalism and control. But now, all he wants is Liam, and he's willing to risk everything to have him. On the 7th day, Andrew finds himself parked outside Liam's apartment. The sun is setting, casting the building in a warm golden glow, but Andrew barely notices. His heart pounds as he watches the door, waiting for any sign of Liam. Hours pass, and just when Andrew is about to give up, he sees Liam's car pull into the lot. Relief and anxiety crash over him as he steps out of his car, his legs shaky. Liam climbs out of his car, looking tired but still impossibly handsome. He freezes when he sees Andrew standing there, his expression unreadable. "Andrew," Liam says cautiously, shutting his car door. "What are you doing here?" Andrew takes a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. "I had to see you," he says, his voice shaking. I can't do this without you, Liam." Liam sighs, running a hand through his hair. "Andrew, I thought this is what you wanted. You were scared of being exposed, of people finding out. I was trying to give you space." "I was scared," Andrew admits, stepping closer. "But losing you scares me more." Liam's eyes soften, but he stays silent, waiting for Andrew to continue. "I've spent my whole life trying to keep everything under control," Andrew says, his voice thick with emotion. "But with you, I don't want control. I just want you. I don't care if people find out. I don't care what happens. I can't keep pushing you away." Liam stares at him for a long moment, and then he's closing the distance between them, his hands cupping Andrew's face. "You mean that?" Liam asks, his voice low and serious. Andrew nods, tears pricking at the corners of his eyes. "I mean it." Liam doesn't hesitate. He pulls Andrew into a deep, soul-stealing kiss, his arms wrapping tightly around him as though he never wants to let go. Andrew melts into him, the weight of his fears and doubts lifting for the first time in weeks. When they finally pull apart, Liam rests his forehead against Andrew's, a small smile playing at his lips. "You're stuck with me now," he teases softly. Andrew lets out a shaky laugh, his hands clutching at Liam's shirt. "I wouldn't have it any other way." They spend the rest of the night together in Liam's apartment, talking, laughing, and rediscovering the connection that had drawn them together in the first place. For the first time, Andrew allows himself to fully surrender to his feelings, no longer bound by fear. Months later, Andrew and Liam are inseparable. They navigate their relationship with a balance of passion and trust, no longer afraid of what others might think. At the hospital, Liam occasionally stops by, this time with a purpose, bringing Andrew coffee or simply stealing a kiss during Andrew's break. They're no longer a secret, and while there are challenges, Andrew realizes the love they've built is worth every risk. One evening, as they walk hand in hand through the park, Andrew looks up at Liam and smiles. "Thank you," he says simply. "For what?" Liam asks, his brow furrowing. "For not giving up on me," Andrew replies. "For showing me what it means to really live." Liam squeezes his hand, his gaze softening. "Always." And as they walk together under the fading light of the setting sun, Andrew knows this is only the beginning of their story, a story of love, risk, and the courage to be true to themselves.